Thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you. You're welcome. Okay, now we're gonna get started for real. Thank you, everybody, for coming. This is my first book talk for Interview Like an Olympian. I have them here printed, so I'll be doing a book signing after going through this presentation. I just wanted to get into why I wrote the book in the first place. So my why for writing the book is, if you don't know my story, I started in tech. I have Audra here, which is one of the first people who got me a role when I moved to Charlotte. Starting in tech, I didn't have any certifications, any technical background. I came from a completely different field, from political science. I was originally going to be a lawyer way back in the day. And so fast forward, I moved here to Charlotte. I had done some technical writing in oil and gas because we used to live in Houston. Moved to Charlotte, no connections, no anything. But through storytelling and through being able to tell my story about my skill set, about my experiences, about my background, I was able to get my first role moving here in tech in UX, which stands for user experience, in Wells Fargo. And that's how I met Audra a long time ago. So that's my why. I wanted to be able to share the knowledge of how I did that with people around the world. So I put it in the package, wrote it, put it in the book. One of the things that I teach in the book is, I call it main character interview energy. And this is how Interview Like an Olympian was born. And main character interview energy is about empowering yourself to tell your story and share your narrative in a way that communicates your value, communicates what it is that you do, your unique perspective, your unique value proposition to employers or partners or whoever it is that you're trying to work with. So it's a toolkit for interviewing well. And I left my clicker, so I have to come all the way over here. It's gonna be a little bit awkward, but it's okay. So what is main character interview energy? So it's basically a mindset that puts you as the protagonist of your story, puts you as the main character of your career story, of your career journey. Helps you to communicate with purpose and clarity and confidence. The framework is made up of 4 C's, that's what I like to call it, and that's courage, clarity, confidence, and competence. So let's get into the 4 C's. I like to say that this is the anti-imposter syndrome formula. So going through the book, reading the book, embodying the 4 C's, you will not be experiencing imposter syndrome. Personally, I don't believe in imposter syndrome, but that's a story for another day. So courage. This is the courage to break through limiting beliefs. This is the courage to go beyond things like, I'm not experienced enough for this role. This is more money than I've maybe ever made before. This is a lot going into this negotiation for this new role. So embracing your career with courage, clarity. This is defining what success looks like for you and defining your own career path. So That could be whether it is you think that you want to step up to a VP role or a senior role, or this is defining your own career path. That's pretty much what I had to do when I started, because there wasn't a clear career path for me. I like to say you own your career, your manager doesn't own your career. So you have to make the decisions on what to do next, what kind of role to get, how to negotiate for salary, for raises, promotions, increases, all that stuff. Confidence. I think that confidence is probably one of the most important skills, soft skills that people don't talk about when it comes to career and when it comes to interviewing. But to me, if you don't believe in yourself, your skill set, your story, then how are you going to convince said manager or whoever you're interviewing with to hire you if you don't even believe in your own self and abilities? I always say, if you can't ask for hot fries at the drive-thru, then you're not going to ask for a raise when it's time for a promotion. Or if you can't ask for the right coffee order at Starbucks, then when a new role comes up, you're probably not going to ask for it because you haven't been practicing that confidence that you need and practicing articulating for what you want. And competence. This is your skill set or your expertise, and it's what you need to execute on your vision. Competence is another one that I think the confidence and competence piece to me go hand in hand, because if you present confidently, but you don't have that skill set mastered, then it's still not going to make a difference. So you need the whole 4 package, 4 C's to make it work. So in reading the book, what will you walk away with? Understanding of what my main character interview energy is, the 4 C's framework, which we just went over, and how to show up with presence and perspective in your career, and then how to navigate challenges when you are interviewing for roles. Okay. And I promise this was a short presentation, probably the shortest one you've been in today if you work in corporate. What can you do to become the main character in your career story? Purchase the book, read the book. You can have a workshop. You can work with me to bring this main character workshop to your company, school, whatever have you, organization. Or you can connect with me. I started a group chat for helping people with interviews, helping people that are negotiating. You can scan the QR code and get access to the group chat. It is free and it is there to support you on your interview process. So that's it. That's it for the presentation part of this. I will be out there signing books and talking to you about the book, and we can go into Q&A. Anybody have questions or just want to chat?
I have a question. First and foremost, congratulations.
Thank you.
Secondarily, let's say you're in a role that you're currently secure in, and you're not necessarily looking for anything new at that time. How can this book still benefit somebody in that position?
Great question. So in the book, I suggest that we always be interviewing, because when you're not interviewing, you're getting rusty. And interviewing is a skill, which is what I say in the book. So if you're not practicing that skill, just like anything else, riding a bike, playing basketball, whatever, you're going to be out of touch with it when you go to do it. So if you're securing your role, I would say that you should still be interviewing occasionally. You don't have to be interviewing like you don't have a job, but you still need to be interviewing in order to practice that skill. Some of the things that I talk about in the book is interviewing to learn what people are paying in the market, so you can be aware of like, what are people paying in these roles that I'm looking for or that I'm currently in? Because you could be underpaid in your role at your job and not even know it. But if you are interviewing, that's something that could give you an indicator of where you are like in the pay scale. And then I would say interviewing to just know what skill sets are making up these roles, because you could discover you might have a skill gap. And then through that interview process, you could then go work on those skills. So when you are ready to get that new job, you could just slide right in. Noraya, do you have a question? Okay, just give me 1 second. The book is about interviewing on the job, interviewing for college, interviewing any time where you need to be interviewing. People interview you so they can find out more about you. You had a question?
Yes, so congratulations.
Thank you.
I know you talked about the 4 C's.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have other tools in the book that we can use besides the 4 C's?
Yes, I break down the 4 C's more, but then I also give other frameworks for interviewing. One of them is the story brand framework. And I go through all the frameworks and then give examples of how to use them, when to use them, when not to use them in the book as well. It's a whole chapter on all the different frameworks that you could use in an interview.
Another quick question. So I see the book is pretty thick there. Would you recommend starting at the front and going all the way through, or should you go through it based on like what you might be looking for? What do you suggest?
Great question. So I wrote the book in mind with that people don't really read anymore. So not saying that was you, Tiffany, but people don't read. So you can actually just go through the table of contents, pick what you need for that day, for that interview, wherever you're at in your career, and read that chapter. It's not a front to back read, it's more like a playbook type of read.
Do you happen to have like typical questions or ask, like those awkward questions that women ask you?
I do have some questions in there, but I also have a whole worksheet on interview questions as well that I send to my people. Oh, it's just one question. It's easy. Thank you for joining the group, though. You had a question? What's your? You can find the book on Amazon, but not until the 20th. So this was like a pre-order event where my friends, family can come and get the book ahead of time, but on Amazon the 20th. But I prefer people to go to my website instead of Amazon to buy it. But you can get it on the website and then Amazon.
What's the website?
The Bloomology /books.
Can you repeat that?
The Bloomology, I messed up. The Bloomology.com/books. Don't quote me. If it doesn't work, then just don't say anything. I'll text you. Any more questions? I'm laughing at Tradia. Yes.
I have a quick question. I'm actually interested in hearing your story of how you went from not being in tech to tech. So in the book, do you kind of reference any of your journey?
I do. I talk about it in the book, but so to sum it up, I started literally with a Google search, and because there was a recession at the time of graduating and there were no jobs and people were broke, all the things. And so I just went on Google and I said, what can I do with a political science degree? Because that's what I had at that time. And then, and I had my master's too, so I put that in. And then it said, I was just looking through all the pages, and then finally it said one of the things was technical writer. And I was like, I'll just do that. I'm good at writing. I'm good at researching. It pays well. So then I started technical writing. I got a contract role, which I do talk about in the book is one of the great ways to transition into any field is getting a contract role. If people don't know what a contract role is, it's a kind of like a temporary employment, but not, I wouldn't say it's like a temp agency, but it's high skilled, high paying in most instances, temporary work where you're working under contract for a company. So they will say, you know, we want you to work at this company for 18 months doing this particular thing. We're going to pay you this much hourly. Some places provide benefits, some don't, but you don't have the typical benefits of somebody who's like a full-time worker. You don't get like paid time off. Some companies do, but you don't mostly get paid time off. You won't get like your insurance plan, your healthcare benefits the same. You won't get bonuses and things like that. But for transitioning, I think it's definitely a blueprint to start with a contract role. That's how I started. You're welcome. All right, so thank you, everybody. Oh, okay. Yes. Yes.
Okay, so I know you said something along the lines that you do not believe in imposter syndrome, and it made me think about one of my own personal thoughts is I do not believe in job security. So
Me neither.
I'm always interviewing for that reason, and then I also can look like a job hopper to a lot of people because money is very important to me, and I'm very transparent about that. But do you address that in the book, or do you address like career gaps for a lot of those who are in
I
the software?
don't address job hopping. I think job hopping has gotten slightly more acceptable than previous. When I was first getting into tech, that was a question that I always got, and I've not gotten that question in years, maybe 4 or 5 years. I don't think it's as common to ask that question because a lot of people have gaps. We just went through a pandemic. So my thing is, if you're asking me about a gap, we just went through a pandemic, don't you remember? But I think I would address it by, I think the canned answer that I always say is that I was looking for new challenges and I needed to go somewhere that better suited my skill set. I have like a whole canned answer that I say when people ask me that question. But I think as long as you can have an answer that tells a story, you can get past the question. But I don't really think people, in my experience, I haven't been hearing that question as much.
I don't think I've heard it. So I don't have any gaps because I choose when I want to go somewhere. So, but as far as like the hopping part, some people do ask me questions like that all the time.
Yeah, I would
like
just
being very transparent sometimes probably ruins some opportunities, but I have to be honest. Like
I feel you. I think I give the same canned answer. I might slightly improve it from year to year, but it's like I needed somewhere that challenged me more in my career. Like it's just plain simple. And
how
then
did you address like your transition when you were coming from oil and gas to UX?
so it was a long time ago. When I say long, I mean 10 years, 9 years, right? Yeah. So I think at that time, it was easier to make that transition. I think now it's harder because there's more people in tech, there's more competition, there's more education, boot camp, certifications. Like at that time, people didn't really care. You didn't really have to have a cert. Not saying you have to now, but I just think now tech is way more competitive. So at that time, it was more just like, I can prove that I'm doing the work. I was self-taught too, so I had a different route than the school route. I was more like, I already had a portfolio because I didn't have a choice, because I had to show that I can do the work because I didn't have like technical degree or certification. So it was a different time, I think. Now it's more harder. Not to say that you can't transition, but I think it's harder. And then layoffs, there's more people looking for jobs, more experienced tech people that are looking for work.
I have one quick question regarding tech, right? So somebody who's completely a novice to anything related to tech, when people say tech, that seems like it can encompass like a plethora of different types of things.
It definitely
can.
can.
Like a real quick hit on when you say tech, we're talking about what types of roles?
So I'm one of those people that think every company is a tech company, and I think people should be approaching it like that because there's going to be, Kimberly can probably tell you there's technical jobs in Fifth Third Bank. It's not a tech company, but at this point, every company needs technologists. So I think of it that way. I don't think of it like you gotta work at Google or you gotta work at Facebook, Meta, whatever they call themselves. Like, no. I think every company is a tech company, so every company has opportunity for a technologist. Okay. Thank you. I think I'm gonna sign the books out there. These are for you guys. People. I don't think we should say you guys anymore. Don't at me. Hey girl. Tiffany, let's start with you. How should I sign your book?
I'm really looking forward to the deep dive on just some interview skills across the board, because an interview isn't necessarily always about a job. There are so many different ways and places that we interview, and being able to have that confidence and moving forward in each part of the arena is very important. You have to interview to stay current. I haven't interviewed like for a position in a very, very, very long time.
I know.
So being able to dig into this is going to make me feel more confident when I do maneuver. Now I have a roadmap. Jennifer said.
It works. One of my mentees, she goes to Harvard and she just got an internship at Apple. So she just gave me that testimonial on New Year's. Oh, because you were looking all over. Because people said that. Yeah.
You know exactly almost 2 years?
Since we met each other? No, girl. And you see she's doing her next program. Headlines again.
So exciting.
Thank you.
So did you have this published yourself?
Mm-hmm.
I love your suits and the pictures.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, folks, that's the wrap. The good people at Fifth Third need to go home. Thank you, thank you.